Alright, so you finally decided to take the jump. You've either played D&D or another tabletop game and saw the game, or you want to give it a go since trying out, Cyberpunk 2077, or saw the anime. So, what is all this? What are you expecting out of it? Whenever I get a new player, first thing that always comes up is, what can I play? What can I do? And it's always been a reference to classes. Never once has it been about the world itself, it always is directly to, so, how can I be something cool? You maybe just have wanted to keep playing your 2077 character in Red and want to make sure you get everything you may already have. There are a lot of videos out there on all the different roles and all the things you can do, so instead of just starting to go down some big list of all the roles, I'm just going to ask you something outright. What do you want to do? It's not a loaded question. It really is coming from a point of, alright, so you've sat down here with an expectation. What is it? Are you wanting to blast people away with some big guns? Are you wanting to run in and flatten noses with some big old mechanical fists? Do you want to be some type of cybernetic assassin that slunks in the shadows? Tell me what your first thought was when you sat down, even if you feel it's completely impossible and don't even know a thing about the world or the game. But that's mostly because I always like hearing what the first expectation of a new player is, even if they don't know a thing about the game. But the reason I ask it is by knowing what you're coming in expecting, I can actually find a way to translate it for you in the game's actual system. Got someone who's used to being a cleric in D&D? It's an immediate point towards medtech. That's an easy one. Got someone who's used to being the face of any group they're part of in pretty much any game? Media or rocker boy. Right off the bat, simple. But then you got people coming in who are used to being more of a mage type, or want to have the quick hacks they did in 2077. And while that obviously would point people towards Netrunner in theory, it ain't really that easy. There definitely is going to be that moment where you need to stop and think, okay, so if I can't be this exact thing, what could I try? And that's something I've experienced as a GM when people are coming into the game. They do come in with the expectations of it being similar to D&D, since it's tabletop, or similar to the video game, which is even set in Red's future. Red is the prequel to 2077, by the way. Red's time period is in the year 2045, right after a big war. And often, you can actually see them get a little let down when they realize they can't be exactly what they want it to be. I want you to try to avoid that. Your GM can give you some solid recommendations for what you could try playing, or even I could give you a tip or two. If you're using easy mode, go ahead and scroll to the end of the PDF. You'll see the pre-made characters they provide as options for their adventure in there. They'll give you some ideas, sure, but in Red, your character is not only defined by their role. Also, a nice thing is not having to worry about filling traditional spots, like always making sure you have a healer or a tank. As far as going with a role, the main thing to get out of it is pretty much an ability that is unique to them. Sure, there are some with some pretty cool tricks, but a character is more than just a one-trick pony like that in this game. I'll go more into the exacts later on, but what I'm trying to be sure of here is that you understand what you want going into this. Make sure to say it outright to your GM what you really want to try, and they'll help get you there. That goes for almost any tabletop game, to be honest. If you sit down and go, okay, I want to make a sniper that can take someone down inside a building a mile away, at least your GM will have the lead that you want to have a long-range gunner character, and can quickly point you to a solo and help you stat something out. Or even something a bit more crazier like a lawman that can do the same thing, but with backup. Take the time to communicate what you want to your GM, just like any other tabletop game in this case. While you may not get to start out as the badass that you have in your head, you'll be on the road to getting there if you work with them. And this goes for getting an idea of what you want to play. Current game lore, street slang, that stuff all comes later. Don't let that overwhelm you up front. That's also the reason why I'm not throwing all that at you. I'm not going to start saying random slang. Because people coming into this game, I've learned, have no idea what any of it means, and it usually confuses them. So I'm keeping away from that for this series. If you want to get an idea of what you can mechanically do in Red, check page 11 in easy mode to see the skills and stats outright. I wanted, at least in this video, to just be sure you acknowledged your own expectations and made sure you were reminded to express them to your own GM. Don't get discouraged if you don't get exactly what you were after. This is all about building up the theory of what you want to do before you really start taking the deep dive into things. And that's also the beauty of rules in tabletop games. They're all guidelines, able to be tweaked or changed or homebrewed. And if something doesn't exist, there's always a way to make it happen. I'll leave you here for this one, and I wasn't joking when I said I'd like to hear your own expectations of what you were looking to try with this. I'll keep my eye on the comments for this one. But I hope you all are having a good day, and I hope you find a good table. Take care.